There we go, folks. Looks like the clouds are moving in. We may get an afternoon shower, which will be nice. I won't have to do any watering of the garden. Even if it only rains for a half hour, really pours down, that would be nice. So, I don't know where my cat is. He's been driving me nuts. He wants attention all day. Uh, Usually I don't mind giving it to him, but it's been tough because I'm trying to get things done, and of course that's when he wants the most attention. This is my Buccaneers Super Bowl t-shirt. Uh, there hasn't been much going on. I teach on Tuesdays at the library, and I teach GED math. I have one student, so that makes it very nice. I can individualize the class. Although I was never a teacher in my life, I worked in IT. But I did get my bachelor and graduate degree in mathematics, and then went on to become a nurse. So I feel very comfortable teaching math. In fact, I edited a few of the textbooks called Math for Meds that nurses use. Found a few mistakes here and there, and a better way of explaining things. Because I find that people that don't really know math make it much more torturous than it has to be. Really good mathematicians make things short and succinct, and that's what I tried to do when I was editing. Books are getting so expensive. It cost me I had my tuition waived, but had I not, when I was in nursing school, the text would have been more than my tuition. And they're getting so big. I had a general nursing book that was about that thick, and it got so thick that they had to make it 2 volumes. And every year, more knowledge is gained. There are more meds. We discover more illnesses. When I was in nursing school, 93, there weren't very many treatments for people with AIDS or HIV. Well, people that had HIV are rapidly advanced to AIDS, and their lifespan wasn't very long, and there was a lot of palliative care. People got disability, and now people are living pretty normal lives. In fact, for a point there, I was what they call an AIDS buddy. They would assign me a person that had AIDS, and I think the longest I had an AIDS buddy was a year before he died. And I had males and females, and I really enjoyed that. It was a good time in my life. I was a lot younger too, but if people had not known, but some people, their families didn't even know that they were gay, and then coming down with HIV was just a confirmation that they were a bad person. They kicked them out of the house. They were on their own. They had nothing. I used to visit several houses, grand old Victorian houses where people essentially went to die, but while they were alive, have a good life, living with other people. And I really enjoyed that. And I also had some people who lived independently. And it was tough. They would make you take a break after a client died or a buddy. They were more than clients, they were buddies. And, so you'd have a client for 6 months, then take a break, and then get another client. And then they came out with the highly active antiretroviral therapy. And things changed in an instant. One of the guys I had as a buddy wanted to go fishing, so we went fishing. And he explained to me he knew this was, he had that wasting syndrome and he looked really bad. And he told me he knew that this was going to be his last trip fishing because he was feeling weak and he didn't think he had much longer to live. And he was one of the first ones to get the new medications. And within 2 weeks he called me up and said, "Joe, I feel so much better." And I was so glad. And he got to the point where he went back to work and he didn't need a buddy, but we still remained friends. And it's not to say that there aren't complications from those meds. They can affect your liver and affect your heart. But it was a lot better than slowly wasting away and dying. So I got off the track. I forgot what I was going to talk about. I know that my family is in Rhode Island, and they're having hotter weather up there than we are down here, and a lot more rain. I think the highest temperature that I ever lived through in Rhode Island was 106. I was about 21, and it was awful. I lived in a tenement flat. I just had windows, no ceiling fan. I had like one plug in each room. This was old housing stock, not modernized at all. It was over a meat market and a liquor store. And I used to put a fan in one window and then one on the porch window and get a little breeze through, and that made it a little more tolerable, but not much. And that was hot. I looked out the window. I was on the 3rd floor. I looked out the window and there was no one around. Wherever anybody that had any air conditioning, they didn't even open their door. People were in the markets. They'd have someone drive up and pick them up so they weren't out in the heat long, hop in the car with air conditioning and go home. And hopefully they had it. But it was, until the climate began changing, it was quite an expense for using something maybe 3 weeks during the summer. When we get the hot humidity. Humidity is a problem in Rhode Island because the ocean comes right up the middle of the state, all the way up to Providence. Thing like 30 miles Narragansett Bay, and that's a lot of water to make things humid. So that's about it from me for now. I'm just having a cup of coffee called Laughing Man. I tried it out, and I like dark roast. I like a deep flavor of coffee. I don't like it too light. I don't like to be feeling like, I do like half and half, but I don't like the coffee to be overwhelmed by either milk or cream flavor. I just like just a little tiny bit, not even a tablespoon. And because I'm a type 1 diabetic, I use stevia, not sugar. And I don't know, I drink about maybe 6 cups of coffee a day. I have 3 in the morning, then take a break, and then I have some in the afternoon. I think I'll be making pork chops for supper. Cutting up some carrots, peel some carrots and chop them. and I always have potatoes to either make into mashed potatoes, but I think I'll have baked potatoes. I have a little tiny oven. I have an electric stove, but I don't use the big oven too much because it really heats up my house. My house is less than 1,000 square feet, so I use what I guess you would call a toaster oven. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got an air fryer. It's got a slow cooker. I use that, and it doesn't heat my house up as much, and it cools down a lot faster. My oven in my electric range is gigantic. I think everything here became electric because there was a nuclear power plant right up in Crystal River, not too far from me. It's being decommissioned. It's going to take about 30 years to decommission it. And so everything here is electric. All the homes are electric. And I never had that. I never had that in Rhode Island. Everything was gas. You could not heat your home cheaply with electric heat in Rhode Island, either oil or gas. So, I wish you a good afternoon. Oh, and this is one of my thrift shop mugs, 25 cents.